Good evening, everyone. It's a wonderful evening. Thanks, Enterprise IT team and Accent Media, Info Media for giving this opportunity to all of us. And I would like to welcome the industry leaders here for this panel. And the topic is enhanced role of CIOs in company board. So the CIOs are actually juggling between multiple tasks now. For example, innovation, customer experience, security, privacy, and then infrastructure upgrade. So all these things they are actually juggling between. And then my first question to Srinivasalu is about this: how the innovation, security, talent management, and operational efficiency that are being looked at. And then what is your experience, Srinivasalu, about how you manage it and then how you take it forward to the board with respect to your company?
Okay, thank you. Good evening. I think it's a long day for you all. Okay, so we'll make it short. Okay, I'm not convinced, convincing the board and all, just we need to put ourselves in the driving seat of the organization, okay? All the CEOs they think themselves as the CEOs of the organization or a part of the board members, okay? That's the way you need to be engaged with the board members and you need to engage with your organization vision and strategy. So coming back to, I'll make it very short, okay? I'll put it in 3 words. One is innovate, secure, thrive. Okay, so today CEOs in a driver's seat of digital transformation. We have been talking a lot, okay, about security and digital transformation. I think we need to move on. Okay, today we are a part of the digital transformation industry revolution of 5.0. Okay, so the difference between 4.0 and 5.0 is 5.0. It's completely okay, how human can work with, intelligence of, or mission or robotics, whatever. That is the 5.0, okay? So I think we need to move on. So, and we spoke a lot about AI all these days, right? So now we are in a stage of, implementation of AI. What they call it as AI engineering, okay? So that, your strategy, your vision, everything towards, I'll come back later how you need to convince board and all. For me, as long as your objectives are meeting the performance of the financial performance, business operations, talent, strategy of your organization, risks of organization, if you are, whatever you are taking digital initiatives, if these things are taken care, you don't need to worry about the convincing the board. Because you are the part of you are in the driver's seat of the digital transformation. So now coming back to the focus is going to be only, AI engineering. Okay, you bring everything around under that. AI engineering, where you talk about the data privacy, data quality, governance, and you talk about the strategy, AI foundation, and AI implementation. So what we need to do, we need to put it in 3 ways. One is design, deliver, monitor. Okay, so your AI engineering, you need to put it in 3. So you bring all your digital transformation under that. Okay, whether it's a security or transformation, because it is inevitable. Okay, you cannot ignore that. People talk about, AI cannot replace human. Yes, but if you ignore AI, you will be ignored. Okay, particularly from healthcare perspective, I see huge value add. Okay, so either you develop your internal team or you need to co-work with the people. That's the only option. Okay, so how to convince the board is, today you need to do a lot of POCs. And you develop the POCs, showcase your POCs to the board. And you need to build that. So, that's the way it's a learning and is doing. Okay, so I'll make it short. AI engineering is going to be the focus of 2024 and 2025. Okay, and you bring all your digital transformation, security under that. whether it's whatever we, in the previous conversation, they were talking about cloud. I think we are gone. We moved on. Still, we don't need to talk about the cloud and hybrid and data. I think we need to move on. So that's my view. Okay, so all CEOs, CIOs, okay, are in the driver's seat of, digital transformation. I'm talking about digital transformation, AI engineering. Okay, so that's in short.
Great, Srinivasulu. So I liked certain points which you mentioned. One is align things with the organizational objectives, which is very important. That's where you have to start driving. And then you also mentioned about the importance of AI engineering. Of course, there are much more problems that are coming along with the AI engineering. So that also we have to take care. The earlier panel also were discussing about these aspects, especially data poisoning and hallucination, etc. So I think those aspects also need to be taken care.
Well, just to add, any technology will have its own shortfalls. When we had the internet, we were worried about it. When we had APIs, we were worried about it. So any technology evolvement will have some kind of a challenges and risk. That's where our job is.
Well said.
Yeah.
Sure. So my next question is for Gauthaman. So Gauthaman being having a strong background on the security and being a CISO. So my question is, now the trend of cyber risk quantification is picking up. So what do you think? How are you going to, what is your plan? How you are approaching the board? And then share your experience, especially on this particular aspect.
Okay, great. Thank you, Google. Thank you, everyone. With respect to board and how do you go about it, it's very simple. First, you need to build a trust with your board members or top management or anyone. That's being said, very simple in nature. Then move on and don't talk anything about IT security of board, right? Don't even go and talk about IT securities, vulnerabilities. If you're talking about that, then it means talking about you're in your own world. Talk to them in a business language. Business or business language. You should be only talking about that. What is business language? Anyone from the audience? What is business? Profit loss. He said rightly. See, profit loss. Business is finance, right? You need to tell them what is going to happen to your business if you're going to do this. Don't talk about IT initiatives. Don't even talk about anything. They are not bothered about it, right? Talk about the business impact which is going to happen there. Now, when you have a list of vulnerabilities and other things, how are you going to talk about financial impact there? Anyone from the audience? When you have got list of vulnerabilities, right? If you go and ask your board, so I need to go and implement it, do you think that they will give an amount for you to do it? The only question what they're going to ask is, if you implement this, will there be no incident at all? Can we say yes or no for that? We will not be in a position, right? So the only simple for us to go and do is, how do we convince about a financial terms? If you want to do a financial terms, then you need to go ahead and quantify a risk, right? Only when you go ahead and quantify a risk, you can arrive to a financial value, right? Hey, I would like to give one important update over here. I would really encourage all the CISOs over here to go ahead and look at FAIR methodology, FAIR, factor analysis of information analysis. That's something which is very, very important. You go ahead. It's a NGO which is doing this. It's one of only one international standard which talks about financial quantification today, right? You just go ahead and look at it, and it's kind of little complicated to implement it, but if you implement it, you are nothing like it. If you can't do it, then go and get the tools, come to a scoring methodology, show it to your board, and then probably you can arrive at your financial value. Basis the financial value, it's simple. Then you're going to ask your board whether accept for this risk or give me more money for implementing solutions, right? If nothing is, you're not able to do it, then buy insurance. If time permits, I'll talk about cyber insurance later. Thank you.
Sure, Gautam, thanks for that. And probably if we have time, I'll definitely come to you on the insurance portion as well. So certain portions which I liked is the trust, the major factor that you have to build, because without trust, it's not going to be a very easy task for us to actually say yes or get yes from the board. And you spoke about the financial assignment of values with all the risks. So I would like to just help everyone visualize here a map, which is a kind of matrix where you can put in how much is the value of the organization, how much is the risk, put a value, and then you show the value of the gap. How much is the current risk which are still open? So you have, say, for example, $10,000, which is without risk, and then you have around $8,000 with risk, the gap. So in the 8,000, how much we are going to mitigate with certain steps? Say, for example, $5,000 to $6,000 value. And then the rest of the thing, whether you're going to accept it, whether you're going to transfer it, like you mentioned about insurance, that's what we have to present to the board. So that's a great way approach to actually approach the board. Coming to Prabhakar, so we know that technology is the cornerstone for the organization, and innovation is very, very important. And as a CIO, what drives the innovation, and how you think or you had helped the board understanding the innovation especially?
That's a wonderful question, Gokul. So innovation is the key for anybody's business, right? So without innovating, so we can't be relevant or we can't stay in business. So we all know what happened to Nokia, right? So Nokia, they started producing toilet tissue paper. They become a technology giant, right? But they're not existing because they stopped at a point, right? So innovation is definitely a key to any organization. And how we do it at so we run an innovation lab. We created an innovation lab, basically an R&D lab. And we also run a hackathon to create a lot of ideas, because all new innovation is just an idea, right? So it starts from an idea, but how do you conceptualize and implement that is the differentiator. So I think we run a lot of R&D labs and innovation labs, create that, foster the culture of innovation. So encourage people to do a lot of thought process, new products and technologies, and that's how we do that. We look at innovation at our organization.
Great. So I like the idea of creating an innovation lab, and then he runs his own hackathon inside the office, which is first time I'm hearing, because generally this happens in a very big forum, and I appreciate that. I hope you also get some value out of it. So that's great. And moving to Vijay Anand, now it's dinner time, so we will be served with multiple variety of dishes. Definitely every dish will have multiple ingredients. So I would like you to cook some ingredients and then let us know, share your experience and how your approach is with respect to the board, and how you deal, and then some experiences where you had some trouble or where you won, something like that. If you are able to share, that will be helpful for everyone.
So not only to be a CIO, you should know technology, but you should also be a good salesperson. See, because in the past 20 years, the business models have changed. And today, all businesses, whether it's small, medium, or large enterprises, everything is driven by IT. And what the board is worried about is the cost. They are worried how the expenses are going to happen. Suddenly there is some security threat. Then we have to invest in new tools, which technically go into millions of dollars. So the board is constantly looking for advice. So one of the key challenges of the CIO is to make sure, you educate the board, you tell them, what is that is latest in the market and what they have to do. And you also need to, come up with a plan and tell them the different options that they have. Because, today there are so many solutions out in the market, and today everybody is a technology leader, including the board, but they want some kind of a direction, somebody to take that risk and do that. So that's where the CIO role comes in. And today, if you see in our organization, the board in fact spends more time with the IT folks rather than the other departments, because they know, that's where the spend is going most. If you see earlier, if there is a on the spend or the expenses, the most of it would go for the human resources, and there would be a very less, the 10% or 11% would be on the IT side. But today that has completely changed. So today the budgets have been increased to accommodate all the IT innovations. The other major point is the competitiveness in the market. So as the board needs to know the technology, but they also need to know how we can beat the competition. So today there are likewise businesses if you take healthcare, there are so many other similar organizations. But how do we make a difference so that we can give a better experience? So even the board needs to make sure we give them a good customer experience and good user experience. So these are also main ingredients which is technically needed for the board, and they want to know as a CIO or IT leader, how are we going to do that? And so basically everything is a storyboard, so you have to start building stories to convince the board to make sure they take the right decision.
Yeah, actually, I must say you really cooked it well. So, with the ingredients, whatever we had given, and especially the way you are approaching the board, especially trying to educate them with storyboard, that particular line is very interesting. So, moving on to Jagannathan. So, with the increasing importance of IT and digital services in achieving business outcomes, especially the new regulations like DPDP and the key performance indicators, should CIOs focus on at the board level to better measure, communicate, and value of investments and initiatives?
Thank you, Gokul, and good evening to everyone. I think my perspective is going to be from a service provider angle, not from somebody who's been inside the organization, because as an organization, fourth dimension, we manage IT for clients. So as a part of our job, we work with CTOs, we work with CIOs, CISOs, and also the board. So we get a kind of a view from a different perspective, and that's something I thought I'll share with you. What we're seeing is actually now technology from what it used to be earlier as a support function is now mainstream, and therefore it is definitely a board discussion in pretty much every organization, be it banking, be it financial services, be it healthcare, be it manufacturing, all of it together, because it's making a competitive difference to those organizations. So that's something we are observing. Having said that, we've also observed that while the board understands the need for technology initiatives within the organization, we also notice that their awareness in terms of what needs to be done, they know there are challenges, they know that it's required, but how do we do it it's always a challenge for all of them. And that's where the IT organizations of respective companies can come forth. So like what you said, Vijay, education becomes extremely crucial in terms of what can be done, how it can be done, how much will it cost, what will be the ROI, all of it can be probably put together by the IT team. That's point number one. The other thing is in terms of you talked about the IT Act and the Data Protection Act. I think these are all some the things which have come in where the board is primarily responsible for any breach within the organization. It's a board responsibility. It's not an IT team responsibility. Okay. And imagine having a responsibility over which you really don't know much and you're dependent on the rest of the team. So in the sense, the responsibility on the IT organization becomes all the more important in this process. So awareness, how to do it, I'm coming back to the earlier points. Industry to industry also, because we work with across industries, it changes. If you take financial services, which are very regulated industry, there is somebody who's actually telling you how it needs to be done. The regulatory body probably gives you directions in a lot of ways. But organizations, industries which are not regulated, what happens? I think they need to probably do ground up there. The role of the IT and technology team becomes all the more crucial in terms of defining what's essential for the organization, how do they protect, it's just not the question of protecting data, it's a question of how technology can actually make a difference to the entire business. Okay, Gautaman spoke about converting into the financial aspects to it. I think that's the other side. But that's one side, but more importantly, at the same time being able to protect your assets, in line with the laws of the land. That's what I would want to say. Yeah, that's what.
That's great. And I would like to take a cue from the one of the point that you discussed about the board is responsible for risk, which is a very, very heavy statement, and it is very, very true. The reason is, in most, not all of the public limited companies are asked or obliged to do, especially the risk portion in that should come in the annual report. So that has been a mandate now. Of course, some of the private companies also, limited company also start following it. But that's a very, very important point, which actually, when you start with the risk-based thinking, everything falls in line automatically. So that's a very, very good point. And so we have, I mentioned that let us, if at all we have time, we can discuss about the insurance portion. So maybe Gautam, quickly within 1 minute, if you are able to do some justice with respect to the insurance portion, how you
Hey,
take it
sure.
about.
Hey, see, managing risk is something which is important. If you are unable to manage the risk, then you have to transfer it. That's the only go, right? Then the only choice for us is to go and get a cyber insurance, right? When you get a cyber insurance, folks who have undergone an incident, the real incident, and if they have claimed something, only then they will be knowing the importance of cyber insurance, right? It's something good, but at the same time, getting a claim in the cyber insurance has got a lot more nuances. If in India, what they're saying is the awareness about the cyber insurance is very, very less. The adoption is kind of a little bit increasing. Even if you have got cyber insurance, there are a lot of nuances where you have to look into it. It's kind of similar what we get a health insurance for us as well. You have to be admitted for 24 hours, only then you can go and claim. A similar manner, there are a lot more nuances in place. There is a limit value which has been given there. If it's under that value, the incident value is like that, then you will not be in a position to claim. You have to put it from your pocket, right? At the same time, you need to have a downtime based on your insurance package, based on your business value. There will be a downtime which will be categorized. If it increases only, you will be in a position to go and do it. So my only suggestion is, if you have got cyber insurance, please read thoroughly so that in case of emergency, then you will be the best person in your organization to go and do all those things, right? Thank you.
Thanks, Gautam. And I could see some smiles also there, which shows some pain also, which they had undergone. So thanks for that input. And then anybody else who would like to say any parting words, maybe just 30 seconds?
See, typically, we are talking about the CIO role. I would say like this is a golden opportunities for all CIOs, because typically, if you see the board members are the average 66 years of age, right? And they retire. So, I mean, it's difficult for them to know the technology. You teach, but you speak in their language from the business perspective. Okay. I just giving you a simple example. We were giving a demo to our chairman, and when I explained about the images of eye, through AI, he was puzzled and he was spending almost 2 hours with us, and he said, "Let's go ahead." So, if you are able to speak to their language, I think that's so I would say this is a golden opportunity for CIOs are no more managing infrastructure something. And CEOs are evolving, because we need to engage with the board, and you are the catalyst of the culture change. And CEOs are playing in the center of the digital transformation. And the CEOs are evolving as a data role. And, and your new remit of business risk. Okay, so CEOs are the future actually. So this is the great opportunity, because it's, completely business is you take any strategy, you cannot build a strategy without technology. So technology becomes a denominator of any technology strategy. Any strategy, technology is a denominator. So, I mean, this is a golden opportunity, I would say that.
Great. Well said. Anybody else would like to?
Yep. So there are two types of organizations. One is the traditional family-run businesses. Then there is the new age business. These are predominantly the private equity investors, angel investors kind of led organizations. Today, if you see, even in the traditional organizations, there's a lot of private equity coming in, and all these guys are sitting on board. And the only thing what they're worried about is the numbers. So So one advice to our CIO friends is like, go for an accounts and taxation course, which will really help you, because technology anybody speaks, even if you see like, the guy sitting on the board, they come from different companies. They would have seen enough technology, they would have seen enough cloud. They will teach us how to do that. The point is like, when we talk to them, we have to know that numbers. If you're not good on the numbers, that's why we technically fail. That's where we don't cross that level and go above. So going for an accounts and taxation course will really help you to talk in their language, because they know only numbers. So you need to also talk in that. I think I should, you should do that stuff.
Great.
I have a point. Yeah. I just want to take off from where Srinivasulu had talked about. I think the whole lot of talk has been about digital transformation. And I think it's perhaps, as you rightly said, the right time for CIOs to transform. Okay, transform from what probably they're doing today. Probably most of you are doing it already, but I think it's a great time to actually, in fact, if a board, in a lot of these board meetings today, CIOs, though they are not board members, there is a clear slot for CIOs to make a presentation on the technology initiatives of the organization. So that means they are getting a seat on the table. May not be the status of a board member, they're getting a seat on the table. So if you get that seat on the table, to get that seat on the table, I think CIOs need to probably transform and see how they can actually add value to the overall success of the organizations that they are in.
Great. I want to play fair, and then we'll give to Prabhakar also.
I think we have heard enough about digital transformation, right? So what I understand from now is CIO transformation. So I think it's very, very important, and the things are very fluid, right? What worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. So I think that transformation is very important for us to understand what is going to be there for tomorrow, and because of the fluidity and uncertainty and all that. Yeah. But it's a very valid point.
Great. And the good news is we are about to complete 3 minutes earlier than what we had been given. So let's give a round of applause for all the panelists. And we are open to take any questions. If any, otherwise we are all available here. You can actually speak to us personally also. But let us give a chance if any questions are there, which you feel that it is going to help the entire population to understand better. Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone. Over to MC.